Alright, I love the music, but go ahead and cut the music, because I gotta explain this poster. Come on, cut the music. 3, 2, 1, stop. I like being able to do that. That's like a superpower almost. So what's the story on this really funky Soaholic poster that you see up on my wall there? I'm getting a bunch of these printed up, and when I do impromptu contests and that, this is one of the items from my treasure trove that I'm going to draw on and consider sending folks. And I might sign them as well and just kind of, you know, good sewing, God bless, Scott, that sort of thing or something like that. And then you can put up something kind of fun and colorful in your sewing space. You know, I just saw it when I came across it. It's a fun poster. And it reminds us that it's okay. It's okay to be a Soaholic. It is. So, but promoting this poster that I'm going to be giving away to various folks is not the purpose of this particular premiere. The purpose of this premiere is this other workbench over here. I'm going to try to get over and adjusting my camera. This other workbench over here, where concealed I have what I will affectionately call a Hoosier sewing machine that came to me rough condition. And now she's had a new beginning. And this particular machine comes from Jill. Jill wanted me to see what I could do with this particular sewing machine. I'm going to kind of close this stuff out real quick on the computer. And so I said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I'll see what I can do in trying to bring this machine back to life and give it a new beginning, a new look. Trying to open something up over here real quick is why I'm kind of delayed. And the other thing I'll tell you is that not everybody is in the habit of naming their sewing machines. A lot of people do. I think particularly in the featherweight circles. Man, oh man, they love giving names to their machines. They just love it. And so, this NECCHI machine, or if I really want to make people skin crawl, this NECCHI machine, came to me with a wonderful Italian name of Sophia, and Jill has a real affection for this little girl. And so as I took it through the transformative process and I shared different updates on Facebook, she was just like a kid in the candy store watching her machine that was rusty and rugged and just really far, far away from being what she wanted it to be, slowly being brought back, slowly being transformed, slowly being renewed and given a new opportunity. And I'm not going to show you Sophia yet, because we're going to pop over to Facebook for our friends that don't do Facebook on YouTube. And we'll go through some pictures kind of showing you where Sophia started and where she is now, eventually. So there's an opening shot of Sophia. You can't see a whole lot in this shot, truthfully. Just kind of a frontal shot, but you're going to be able to see pretty quick. The one thing I'll point out as well on this particular NECCHI or NECCHI Model 523 is it is engineered like a tank. It is built like a lot of the Japanese clone machines. I mean, they engineered it to be able to basically sew through anything, and they engineered it with the idea that this machine was supposed to last a lifetime. And the amazing thing about this particular NECCHI 523 is, while it has roots as an organization reaching back to Italy, this particular machine of Jill's actually was made in Taiwan. But as I've said before, you can't always write off the third world countries that had machines coming out of them post World War II, because a lot of them really poured a lot of quality into their machines. They really wanted to put a lot of skin in the game and make that machine a viable source of economic revenue for their country and for themselves. And so they built it to last. They built it with quality. And that certainly is the case with Jill's NECCHI 523. It's evident as you look at it. It's all forged steel. And as usual, these photos are not in order. This is after I went through and removed all the rust that was all over that main shaft and the other innards of this NECCHI 523. You're going to see those pop up shortly. So just think in reverse of, okay, that's the way it started. This is the way it ended right here. So let me click a couple of these and you'll see what I'm talking about. This is another shot of after I went through and got all that rust off of there. I sure wish these things would load in the proper order on Facebook, but I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong. So here you can see the way it was. And that's just a small sampling on the main shaft. And this again could be a product of how the machine was stored. But the main, I guess the main lesson here is be cautious if you decide to put your machine into storage where you put it. We just saw that same thing evidenced recently with that featherweight as well, as we saw all kinds of challenges which were a direct result of where that machine had been stored and the environment of that machine. Here again we're kind of seeing excuse me, still getting over a head cold, folks. You can't see it real clear in this photo, but it's just showing you more of that that rust that built up. And rust again is like an iceberg. When you see rust that is this obvious on top, I can tell you as I went through the machine, there was a lot more rust to mitigate that was not in plain view. And you got to get rid of it. You can't leave the rust in there at all, because rust is like a cancer and it's going to come back. Even here inside of the faceplate area, you can see a number of places where we had to mitigate rust, even on that main shaft right there. It's thick. It almost looks like barnacles. And down here by the presser foot and by the needle as well. It's just everywhere. Rust does not respect boundaries in a machine at all. Just kind of looking at, excuse me, a frontal shot of Jill's NECCHI 523. And this is a multi-stitch machine. You can see we've got a variety of different stitches that are available to us. Some of these we might demonstrate in this premiere, others I may not. You can see a variety right there from A, B, C. C is kind of our standard straight stitch where we'll be doing most of our sewing. D is a straight stitch as well, offset, a zigzag, we've got a blind hem, and then obviously a buttonhole feature over in the G realm, which we probably won't do anything with. I seldom do. Buttonholes on machines have just kind of lost their excitement and luster. So here you saw on the inside of it, the main shaft in that, some of the challenges, but really throughout the whole machine bed, the base and everything, you can see that's all rust that's embedded in the paint. And rust, again, is like a cancer. It's not going to just sit on the surface and, you know, be nice. It's going to dig in. It's going to dig in and really make itself known. And again, if you haven't been following closely, yes, I have a head cold if I sound different. I kind of went from my hospital stay for a minor surgical procedure to being blessed with a head cold or a virus or who knows what it is. But here again you can see the rear of the machine as well. We've got just rust issues galore on Jill's NECCHI or NECCHI 523. And here's a nomenclature plate on the back where you can see that while NECCHI is obviously Italian in its roots, this particular machine was manufactured in excuse me, Taiwan. And you can see we've got a 1 amp motor on it. And I can tell you after going through that motor, like the rest of the machine, these folks that put this machine together in Taiwan put a lot of care and a lot of attention to detail into putting that motor together. It's a good, real nice motor. Here we're just looking at some of the mechanics. And even on that spring, you may not be able to see it in the shot, but even on that spring, we had rust as well. So it's just about everywhere. I got to move some stuff here. I'm kind of tucked in a corner and I'm going to trip over something if I don't. So there we can see some of that rust again. Excuse me. It had to be mitigated. And some old kind of fossilized lubricant that once it gets to that stage, it's not doing any good. It's just sitting there. It's I mean it's totally a waste. You can see down on the bottom some of that fossilized lubricant and also a little bit of rust as well. The machine needed a lot of TLC. Here again, just general areas that need stripping, cleaning, and some of those parts need lubricant as well. Here we're kind of looking, excuse me, towards the raceway area. Just filthy, needing a lot of cleaning, a lot of deep cleaning. And there you can see we've started to make an impact. But even on that screw that holds the presser foot, if you look real close, where are we? You can even see on there, excuse me, there was rust to mitigate as well. I'm going to get a little drink of water real quick, folks. I don't know if any of you have had the unfortunate experience of catching a cold this winter. But they, whatever this strain of virus or cold is, it just seems to want to hang on and hang on and hang on and hang on. And I'm not a big medication taker, but I've broken down and had to take some medication just to be able to keep on going. And I didn't mention it in that last shot, but even the presser foot bar itself as well was shrouded in rust, real rough state. Oh, there you can see it better. I forgot I had taken a closer shot of it there. So again, you can see all the way through here. Also by the needle bar as well. The needle bar is kind of tucked away there. But, excuse me, you can see the top of it there where we've also got rust that has to obviously be mitigated. And again, the inside moving parts, a lot of those also you can see on the surface, they have rust. And again, excuse me, with rust, if you see it on the surface, it's down below too. So a lot of digging, some disassembly, and just a lot of effort to try to mitigate that rust and get rid of it. I mean, you can't have rust in the machine, even on part of the framework here. You can see across the top, rust just smattered. I don't know if that's a word. It might be. All over the place. So excuse me. More rust. More coughing. And there again you can see on that main bar across the top of the machine that comes off of that drive shaft, just more rust. It's everywhere. Excuse me. It's amazing, as the cough is starting to work its way out, it becomes even more vocal about letting folks know that it's there. So here we're looking at part of the cam assembly, and what you can see again is some of that lubricant that's on there, but it's totally lost its effectiveness. It's basically fossilized, it's caramelized, and it's not doing any good at all for the machine. There's a real good shot again showing just how pervasive that rust in fact was throughout the entire machine. Kind of watching here to see if we came full circle or not. Yeah, I don't think we came full circle yet. I think these are still, yeah, these are still new shots. Even on the thread guides, you can see here, excuse me, just shrouded in rust. And even between the discs where that thread will go when you're using that disc right there for winding a bobbin, just covered in rust. Here's our front thread guide near the faceplate. And again, this is just a product of, excuse me, how the machine was stored, where it was stored. excuse me. And here's obviously our bobbin winding assembly. Look at even down into there. It's not just, excuse me, that's not just lint, but that's rust all the way down that shaft and all the way to the top where that bobbin would mount as well. Plus here, our winding stopper is also covered in rust also. Here we're looking at the side towards the balance wheel, and I'll zoom in on that as well. You can see on the clutch on the balance wheel also, we have more rust on there also that had to be removed. You can see that across the top of there. Excuse me. Again, when it comes to rust, it just does not respect boundaries at all. There you can just see kind of a excuse me, a more even shot there across, looking at that clutch and the rust that's evident. Here again on the base of the machine, more rust that's pitted into the paint. Excuse me. And there we've gone full circle. Go ahead and close this, and I think I have one more little phase of pictures that we can look at real quick. And while this is loading, I'm going to toot my horn a little bit. So here we're going to go through some photos that I posted to Facebook, and part of this is going to be aesthetic restorative steps that we're taking. Part of it is deep cleaning. It's really a combination of both as we're looking at these shots of Jill's NECCHI machine, kind of taking some of the parts off so I can dig a little bit deeper on the machine. One of our main shafts coming across the bottom of the machine. Again, a lot of these areas also had rust that had to be mitigated on them as well. Excuse me. And these are some of the service points that had to be taken care of on Jill's machine. Some of these parts are moving when the machine is in operation. A lot of them had some of that caramelized lubricant on them. Again, we're basically going metal to metal, and there's no buffer in between, so a lot of those points had to be stripped, re-lubed, excuse me, and set up properly so that that machine doesn't have undue wear. More lubrication points on the machine near the bottom. Again, a lot of pivot points on this machine when this machine is in operation, and you have to be able to get all of those pivot points so that, again, there's nothing holding the machine back. Any pivot point that isn't properly lubricated, or if it's gummed up and not stripped properly, it's going to inhibit the movement of that machine, and the machine will not be optimized. So every single pivot point and point of movement on the machine has to be looked at. Here's our little drip pan that's on the bottom of the machine, and you can just see excuse me, Just the evidence of, you know, this pan has not been taken off probably in a real long time. And combination of dirt, old oil, and, you know, just evidence that it hasn't been serviced. So another shot of that, kind of that drip pan, and then the bottom of the machine. Now we're looking at that base of the machine that I removed, and you can see all the way across a combination of just chipping and rust and just all kinds of stuff going on with that base. And that base is a real conspicuous part of the machine as far as how the machine presents. And so that was an area that I really wanted to spend some time on in trying to restore that finish again and get it back to a point where it would present the machine better than it was. So this is a shot, and it's a more distant shot. You're not going to be able to see really clear. But after I've taken it through a restorative process on that base, and obviously that's a much cleaner drip pan as well on the bottom, but you can see how much cleaner and how much better that base now will present once it's reassembled to the head of the machine. And this NECCHI 523 is going to be a machine that also not only performs well, but also presents well. That's just a close-up of that excuse me, drip pan. Here's a closer excuse me, a closer shot to show you the impact that I was able to bring to that base. Doesn't that look better? And once I unveil the machine and you see that base mounted to Jill's 523, it's really going to be obvious the impact that work I put into trying to mitigate the issues with the paint surface really made a big difference. And that should be full circle. Yep, that's full circle. So, you know, whenever you're excuse me, working on a machine, whether you decide to take it on yourself at home, or whether you have someone else that you, in your local neck of the woods, that you pay to do it for you, part of the reason I take the time to present all of these pictures, and these pictures, as many as there may be, it's a small, very small sampling of the complexity of the process that I go through to get these machines back to where they need to be, aesthetically, mechanically, and electrically, and certainly motor work as well. If I were to take all of those pictures, man oh man, these premieres would run probably 2.5 to 3 hours at least. So I don't want to put you through that, but I want to give you just a little inkling, a little snapshot of the holistic approach that I take to each machine, so that that machine, every aspect of it is looked at, every aspect of it is optimized and given the attention that it deserves. Okay, blah 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 blah. So over to the workbench now, at last, as you've demonstrated some outstanding patience. I'm going to go ahead and remove this partition, and you can look at Jill's machine now in its final state, and again reflect back to those pictures of just the pervasive rust throughout the entire machine, inside, outside, on the paint, on the base. Everywhere you looked, pretty much, you saw rust and other aesthetic issues with the machine. that detracted from it. So hopefully you agree as well that I made a difference. So no drum roll, just remove the partition. And there's what a NECCHI or a NECCHI 523 looks like. That's had all of those rust issues and surface issues mitigated. And we'll probably come off the tripod and look at this a little bit closer after we do some sew-offs as well, just so you can kind of see the impact that we were able to bring. But that's the way a NECCHI or NECCHI 523 should look. It shouldn't have all that rust and all that stuff on it that's detracting from it. I hope you would agree. So let's zoom down to the needle, and we'll do some sewing with Jill's 523 as well. And I'm going to probably grab another quick little drink of water before we do that. And if you've watched the recent premiere of Shahid's 201-2, we're basically going to be doing a mirror image of the exact sew-offs that we did with his machine. And I wanted to go with an even bigger variety than I normally go with, so I'm including some new materials as well that I haven't specifically included in sew-offs previously, or at least recently. Okay. Oh, I better turn my screen around. Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't I start, excuse me, why don't I start doing a leather sew-off? As a matter of fact, I'm going to do saddle grade leather to start. I think that was my first sew-off as well when I did Shahid's 201-2, so we'll do the same thing with Jill's machine as well. So this is going to be saddle grade leather. I don't know if I can show you by doing like this, but I mean it's basically almost looks like cardboard because it's so compressed and so dense when it comes to the thickness and the grade of the leather. I mean, it's designed for the heaviest of applications, and that pretty much explains it. So, alright, let's see how Jill's NECCHI 523 does with this first sew-off. Here we go. Well, I'd love to say that that was difficult. Love to say that we struggled in launching. We didn't. This 1 amp NECCHI 523 out of the great country of Taiwan just got the job done with absolute ease. Oops, just dropped my clips. So let's take a look at these. I'm going to see if I can hopefully move it so you can see it in the camera. This is our top stitch. I'm going to move my lights in as well. There we go. Here's our top stitch that is absolutely perfect. The spacing, the formation of that top stitch I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. That's exactly what we want to see when it comes to the spacing, the formation, and the integrity of that stitch. That's absolutely spot on. And again, look at from the side, that saddle grade leather that we just went through. Nothing easy about that task whatsoever. And as we turn it over, look at that lock stitch. Just as gorgeous, just as well defined, just as spot on as that top stitch. Everything about it, the spacing, the formation, that is a drop dead gorgeous lock stitch. Again, through probably about 4 ounces of saddle grade leather. And again, you know, getting a balance through leather of this grade with a piercing threshold as high as it has, to be able to get stitch definition like this from this Taiwanese made 523 is absolutely brag worthy. Again, we're looking at our top stitch again. I'm really stoked about how well Jill's machine did, and we'll look at these close up and personal at the end as well. So we just did saddle grade leather. We might as well keep on plugging with leather, because I'm really liking the way that that one turned out. So now we're going to go and do some genuine cowhide, and I think we're going to step it up to 3 layers, just like we did on Sahid's Singer 201-2. So I'm going to give it a fold. Excuse me, we're up to 2 layers. I'm going to give it another fold, and we're all the way up to 3 layers of genuine cowhide. Again, we're probably talking about probably around 12 ounces of leather. If you look at the pucker effect, probably 12 to 14 ounces of leather. And there's nothing easy peasy about genuine cowhide. And also the presser foot clearance on this 523 is also quite good. Plus, if you run into a snag with it being a little too tight, it does have a hyperextension on it as well that will give you a little bit more wiggle room to get thicker materials underneath that presser foot as well. So let me get this into place, into position. And actually, I think we'll sew down and come around maybe on this. All right, so here's 3 layers of genuine cowhide with Jill's NECCHI or NECCHI model 523. Here we go. I'm gonna try to make my turns a little bit better this time than I did in some of my recent sew-offs. There we go. I'm not going to get as close to the edge this time. I'm still pretty close to the edge though. Alright. And this leather, as you can see maybe on camera, is really puckering. It really does make that job a little bit more difficult to try to get that material to move evenly over those feed dogs when this leather is starting to pucker up like that. So I'm going to give it my best shot. Alright, here we go. Yeah, that pucker, when you get material leather like this that is doing that puckering effect, it will mess around a little bit with your stitch formation, because that material is not moving as evenly as it normally would over those feed dogs. And so you'll notice that there is some variation as far as the size of the stitching, and that's simply a product of that that machine not being able to move the material over the feed dogs consistently and evenly. And that could be a choice of changing the presser foot maybe to a Teflon foot, or another adaptation to try to get that material to flow a little bit more evenly over those feed dogs. But all in all, I'm very, very pleased with the stitch presentation. Let me move these lights in a little bit more. The stitch definition is spot on. And we just got a beautiful final product as far as this 3 layers of genuine cowhide. Again, if you look from the edge, you can't see it too well from this side. Maybe if I flip it around. There we go. That's a little bit more obvious. 3 layers of genuine cowhide is enough to give some people a heart attack when it comes to their machine. I've said it before, I've had machines, little 99s, I've even had featherweights that I've optimized that will outperform 1591s and 201-2s and a lot of the FAF machines as well. So this little NECCHI 523 is doing a fabulous job, especially when you're talking sewing at a leather level like this. 3 layers of genuine cowhide is no easy task at all. So now we're looking at the lock stitch on the back, and there again the stitch definition excuse me, the stitch formation is exactly as it should be. Those stitches are absolutely well defined all throughout, both top and bottom. So that tells us that we've got a real good balance between what our bobbin case is doing for the effort, what's happening down in the raceway, and ultimately what's happening with that upper tension as well. We're getting a fabulous product when it comes to leather sewing. So, you know, between the saddle grade leather and the 3 layers of genuine cowhide, I think we're absolutely doing a fabulous job so far. And I could do my elk hide next, but I think I'm going to flip over to something you haven't seen a lot on this channel. Actually, I've got a couple of things you haven't seen very much of on this channel. And this is going to be a cotton polyester blend. The challenge with cotton polyester is it tends to be real slick when it comes to moving over those feed dogs. And we're not going to do just a couple layers of this stuff. We're going to take it all the way up to 8 layers, just like we do with our U.S. Army grade canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a fold and get us up to 4 layers. I'm going to give it another fold and get us all the way up to 8 layers of this cotton polyester. This material is often used in covering certain furniture pieces. I've also seen it used in some curtain applications as well. So it has a lot of uses in the industry, and it's because it really is it's a versatile product, and I think it's just a pretty product as well. Okay, so here we have excuse me, here we have a coughing Scot. Here we have 8 layers of this cotton polyester, and let's see how Jill's machine does with this task. Again, this stuff is not nearly as high in threshold as far as piercing, but it is a tricky product to use, a tricky material, because it tends to be real slick in moving over those feed dogs, and that presser foot being able to manage the material. So we'll see how we do. Alright, here we go. And actually, you know what I could do is I could lay down a straight on one side and maybe lay down a zigzag on the other, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. Here we go. No difficulty at all for Jill's 523, and I'm looking at some gorgeous stitches that it just laid down And I may have to come off the tripod so you can see these stitches up close and personal in the end, because white on this almost kind of a mauve color, kind of a cream mauve color, is a little bit going to be a little bit of a challenge, I think, to see. Okay, and then on the other side of this, I think I'll lay down a zigzag next to it. And again, those of you that have given feedback on toning back the music, I kind of opened with my music, and then I kind of took a step away from that music so that you can hear the machine running better. Hopefully you you recognize that. And again, it's something that I want to be open to your feedback, and you know, honor your requests when I can. Okay, so we're going to lay down a zigzag here. I changed the settings just slightly. I took us from a length of 4 down to 3, so we'll see how this zigzag lays down. And this is kind of a zigzag stretch. I've got it on the B setting. A standard type zigzag would be on the E setting, so this will be kind of a stretch stitch that we're laying down next to our initial straight stitch on this cotton polyester blend. Here we go. I really like this. That is one cool stitch. That is a very cool stitch. Oh my gosh, I'm loving that. Jill, I love this stitch. This again is going to be the B setting on your machine. Oh my Lord, I love that stitch. It's almost like a triple point stitch, the way that lays down. That is just gorgeous. I could see finishing off some quilts using that real quick. Okay, so let's look at these 2 lines of stitches. And again, I don't know what you're going to be able to see. I think we're probably going to have to zoom in on it at the end. But on the top layer there, you can see that stretch triple point stitch we just laid down. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous in every respect. The spacing, the formation, everything about that stitch is exactly as it should be. And then on the bottom we've got that straight stitch, which that straight stitch almost looks pathetic compared to that very cool stretch triple point stitch that we laid on the top of this cotton polyester material. And as we turn it over, I kind of flipped it upside down, so now we've got our triple point stretch stitch on the bottom and our straight stitch on top. But again, just an absolute drop dead gorgeous representation of those 2 stitch patterns. The formation, the spacing, the integrity of the stitch, it just doesn't get any better than that. It really doesn't. And you'll be able to see these at the end when I come off the tripod. We'll really zoom in on them and take a close look at them, like I did with Shahid's as well. Because I know it's sometimes, if the distance is a little bit too far out, the material, the thread, it's a little bit harder to pick it up. But again, look at it from the side. Even though it's cotton polyester, we're talking 8 layers. There's nothing lightweight about that task at all. So I'm going to toss that to the back. Beautiful, beautiful stitch. I'm loving that completely. Got to remember to reset us to a straight stitch again. And I think what we'll do now is, although I could, it's not a bad idea. I think we'll jump over to something totally different now, and I'm going to reset the machine again back to my triple point stretch stitch, because I'm really loving that stitch a lot. And I think what we'll do now is we'll do our nylon webbing. This again is a material that is used in hardcore applications where you're looking at towing vehicles. Again, it has a tensile rating of about 2,000 pounds. We're going to be going through 2 layers of it. So this is, I've had a number of people comment about this sew-off, just saying how unbelievable it is that the machines that I've demonstrated it with are able to get it done so easily. So let's go ahead and see if Jill's 523 can also get the job done easily as well. And again, because of the white thread and because of the nylon webbing being yellow, this may be a stitch as well that I'll have to demonstrate and zoom in on at the end so you can really see it up close and personal. Alright, so I'm going to go back to my my stretch 3-point stitch again. I really like it. Again, on Jill's machine it's going to be setting B like Bob, and let's see how this stitch pattern can be laid down on these 2 layers of this nylon webbing. Alright, here we go. Try not to go too far over as I'm kind of rocking this. Oh boy, I just totally goofed up. There we go. See that? When you get kind of distracted, you do the wrong thing. I didn't have that needle down in the material, so probably going to have a little gap point on there, but oh well. So now I'm going to come back and we'll lay that triple point stretch stitch down this other side of the nylon webbing. Listen to this machine. Yes, it has a 1 amp motor, but it's making it sound so ridiculously easy going through a catacomb style material like this that's designed to tow cars and trucks. It's just crazy. Here we go. I am so pleased with where Jill's 523 is now compared to when she came into the workshop. Sophia is a happy girl right now. Sophia is a very, very happy girl. Yeah, these are going to be stitches I'll probably have to show you when I come off the tripod at the end, because it's going to be real tough to see them. I think it's going to be real tough. I'll see if maybe I can do it like that, and we'll kind of zoom in on them. Let me go over by the camera and see if we can zoom in on them and at least get a pre-glimpse of them. Yeah, that's going to be real. Yeah, that's virtually impossible. I think we'll have to wait. I'll show you these. I'll show you these stitches at the end. Come off the tripod and we'll really zoom in on them. Let's see if I flip it that way. Yeah, it's going to be real tough to see. Real tough to see. That's our lock stitch right there. This again is a piece of material that I actually used on one of the cars. You can see the grease on it there. Now you can just barely make out that 3-point stretch stitch along the edges there. It's real tough to see it, but if we get off the tripod, you're going to be able to see it quite easily. But the thing that I'm impressed by is just how easily Jill's machine got the job done. So let me zoom back in on the needle again. We're going to keep on trucking here. There we go. Okay, so what have we sewn so far? So far we've done 8 layers of cotton polyester blend. We've done 3 layers of genuine cowhide. We've done a single layer of saddle grade leather. Now we just finished 2 layers of this nylon webbing stuff that again has a tensile rating of 2,000 pounds. And now we've got 3 sew-offs left to do, one of which of the materials you haven't seen on this channel before, or at least you haven't seen it for a long time, and that is a felt material. I think felt is something that isn't sewn enough on, and when I came across this stuff I really wanted to put it to the test, and I just think that's such a pretty color too, don't you? It's kind of an emerald green almost, and I just thought it would be real fun to lay down some white stitches on it. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this over a couple of times, probably get up to about 3 layers. I don't remember what I really did on Shaheed's, but I'll probably do 3 layers of this. I'm going to fold it over once, fold it over again. Yeah, I think I did 3 layers on his 201-2 as well. So that's what 3 layers of this compressed felt material looks like. And compressed felt, again, because of the process that they take it through, it's going to raise that piercing threshold quite a bit. So I'm going to get this underneath the presser foot. We'll probably do our triple point stitch on it, and that's a little bit snug. So I'm going to cheat and get that hyperextension in place a little bit. Try to get this evenly underneath that presser foot, and we'll try coming down with that triple point stitch. We'll make our turn, and then we'll come on back again. So let's see how this NECCHI 523 with that 1 amp motor does with 3 layers, which from a thickness standpoint is probably equivalent to about 14 ounces of leather. All right, here we go. Nope, I got kind of happy there and went a little bit too far. At least I remembered to put the needle down that time. Alright, I'm doing my best here, folks. When you have a head cold, things just don't click as well as they usually do. So this, if you're looking for perfection, you're probably on the wrong channel right now. But we will get her done. Alright, let's head back the other way with that triple point stretch stitch, and then we'll take a look at these stitches, which are going to be a lot easier to see on this green felt, this green compressed felt with this white thread. Alright, here we go. Beautiful running machine. Oh my goodness. Jill, you got quite a peach here. And again, this machine is going to be heading towards the great state of Indiana. Those of you at the opening of this premiere that heard me mention the word Hoosier, and you were like, who, what? What's he talking about? Folks from Indiana are affectionately known as Hoosiers. And I grew up in a family where we would travel down to Indiana regularly to see my grandparents. They were from, any of you that want to Google it, or any of you that are from Indiana, my grandparents lived near Rensselaer. They actually lived in Morocco, Indiana. Boy, those are gorgeous stitches. Oh my gosh. I'm going to kind of look over the camera here. I just think that stretch 3-point stitch is just the cat's meow. And again, we're gonna come off the tripod and look at these real close in the end, so you're gonna be able to really see that stitch definition. But that is absolutely spectacular in every respect. And again, we're talking 3 layers of this compressed felt. Look at it from the side again. Nothing lightweight about that sew-off at all. So I'm going to throw that to the back as well. And we're down to just 2 sew-offs now. We've got our U.S. Army grade canvas, and then we also have our elk hide as well. So I think I'm probably going to do, excuse me, the U.S. Army grade canvas first, and I'm going to do 8 layers. Let's see, I've got this folded differently, so I got to double check it here. 2, 4, 6. That may be thicker than 8 layers. I got to check this real quick. I may be trying to do 16 layers. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it? 2, 4, Oh, I see what it is. There's a third on the outside. There's a third layer, so it's actually 3 thicknesses with each layer. It's not just 2. All right. Well, I'm going to give it a try. This will require that hyperextension, I have no doubt, because this is super, super thick. All right, let me get that presser foot down. And I'm going to change my stitch length a little bit. I'm also going to move us back to a straight stitch as well. All right, let's see how this NECCHI or NECCHI 523 does with really what's the equivalent of 8+ layers of U.S. Army grade canvas, because I've got extra layers that are holding these edges together. All right, here we go. Keep your fingers crossed. All right, back to the final stretch. Here we go. Now, when you look at this from the side, you've seen my 8 layers of U.S. Army grade canvas. We just did more. I would say it's probably closer to 10 to 12 layers. Because again, the way these pieces are pieced together with the edges, you've actually got more layers that are kind of hidden between the layers, if that makes sense. You're going to see what I mean when we look at the edge of this. It's just nuts. And there was no sign of straining from Jill's NECCHI 523 at all. I mean, it just went through it like no big deal, dude, no big deal. All right, let's see what we can see as far as here, and then again we're going to zoom in at the end. Look at first of all from the side. Do you see what I'm saying? You've seen 8 layers of U.S. Army grade canvas before. We just took it to a new level. That's probably 10 to 12 layers. The way these pieces I picked were kind of had that another layer inside of the other 2 layers. That's crazy. So if we look at it from the side, the spacing, the formation, the way those stitches present is exactly what we want to be seeing. The formation, the integrity of the stitch, it just doesn't get any better than that. That's absolutely amazing. And again, as I turn it to the camera like this, look at the thickness of that. And then we turn over and look at that lock stitch. That lock stitch is looking just as good. I might make an adjustment and increase that upper tension just slightly to make it pop even more. But that is a nicely defined lock stitch. Again, through the equivalent of about 10 to 12 layers of U.S. Army grade canvas. So really, really impressed with what Jill's 523 just did with that sew off as well. So far, to put this machine to the test, not just to show you on camera how much prettier it is and how much cleaner the machine looks without all that rust and junk on it, but now we've gone through really about 10 layers of U.S. Army grade canvas. We've gone through 3 layers of compressed felt, 2 layers of nylon webbing, a single layer of saddle grade leather, 3 layers of genuine cowhide, and 8 layers of cotton polyester blend. So the final sew off I'm going to do to show off this amazing NECCHI or NECCHI 523 is going to be doing 2 layers of this genuine elk hide. And if you look at it from the side, you be the judge. That's about 14 ounces of leather. And again, the way elk hide is processed chemically, it raises that threshold of piercing significantly higher. So we're going to see how Jill's machine does with this task. It's just slam dunked every single other task that we put in front of it. We'll see if this elk hide gives it any challenge whatsoever. And I've got to do my 3-point stretch stitch on this because I just think that that is the prettiest stitch that I've seen in a real long time. I just think it's drop dead gorgeous. All right, so here's our 3-point stitch through 2 layers about 14 ounces of genuine elk hide. Here we go. Alright, I'm trying to stop so I don't run to the edge like I've been doing. Doing my best here. Here we go. I'm getting better at this, folks. We have to take this on the road. Alright, and our final stretch to the finish. And this stuff is buckling, just like that other leather was, so I'm going to try to really hold it firm and fast so we get a nice even feed over those feed dogs. Alright, here we go. Our final sew off on the final stretch, heading towards the finish line, using this stretch 3-point stitch on Jill's machine through 2 layers of genuine elk hide. Here we go. Not even a challenge. Not even a challenge. Where's the challenge? Other machines we'd be doing this on and you'd be hearing Chariots of Fire playing in the background and the machine would be groaning and cracking. And this machine, this 523, just mows through it like no big deal, man. Again, I hope it opens up your horizons to, if you happen to see a well-made NECCHI machine from Taiwan, it's got a lot of potential once it's been optimized. And I really think Jill is super smart for having brought, not brought the machine, for having shipped the machine to me from Indiana so that I could do this for her machine and just give it an incredible new beginning. All right. Trying to tell which way we started here. Yeah, I believe that this is going to be our top stitch. Boy, that stuff is stiff. Good Lord. Beautiful stitch definition with that 3-point stretch stitch. The spacing, the formation is exactly as it should be. And I'm going to come off the tripod again and you'll be able to look at these really, really close. But even now, as far as I can see in my little screen, you can really see just what a beautiful job Jill's 523 did in laying down this 3-point stretch stitch through 2 layers of genuine elk hide. Again, look at from the side what we just went through. That's the thick of thick, folks. And as we turn it over, this is our lock stitch now. And it looks just as spot on. That stitch formation, that stitch definition is exactly as we want it to be. Beautiful stitching, beautiful stitching. Every single stitch off that we did, this 523 just knocked it out of the ballpark. An absolute home run. The zigzag, this stretch, kind of a zigzag 3-point stitch is even harder. Whenever you're looking at needle movement through material like this, that just tells you how well that machine is running. I mean, a straight stitch is one thing where you're just kind of mowing down it, but when you're laying down a more complex stitch pattern like this, through this many layers of elk hide, and you're getting a product like that, holy mackerel. What an awesome machine. What an awesome machine. Sophia, you got bragging rights, girl. You got bragging rights. You're going to head back to Indiana and be able to show your stuff. Not only to Jill, but hopefully she takes you out to sewing classes and other places like that as well, where you can just show what you're able to do. Unbelievable. Just amazing. All right, let me move these lights in. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to see if I can move this machine back just a hair. And we'll lay these across the front of the machine because I got so many stitches I want you to be able to see. This nylon webbing is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we're going to see if we can really get close and personal and give you a good look at it. Coming off the tripod really does make a big difference when it comes to being able to see what you want to see. All right. So how many sew-offs did we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sew-offs on Jill's 523. So if there's any folks out there that are the ultimate forever skeptic, and some of them just make me giggle. They probably think that they make me upset, but they make me absolutely giggle when it comes to, what are we looking at right now on the camera? Did the camera move? What's going on? That's funny. We're way off target there. What I was saying about these eternal skeptics is, even before a premiere is shown, even before we do a live premiere, this 1 or 2 people on this YouTube channel will give it a thumbs down. This is before it's even been shown. And, you know, I think initially it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm like, what is their problem? Why are they giving it a thumbs down? They haven't even seen the premiere yet, and they're already giving it a thumbs down. But now I just laugh because I'm thinking, that is so pathetic. And I don't know if it's a competitor. I don't know if it's just somebody that's sour grapes or who it is. But let me say to you, straight ahead and personal, it doesn't bother me a bit. If you want to be so petty that you give one of the premieres a thumbs down even before it's been presented, then, you know, you just be miserable by yourself, I guess is the easiest way to put it, because that just doesn't make any sense. All right. That was my equivalent of a head cold with a rant, if you didn't catch it. Maybe I'll get a thumbs down because I blew my nose during the premiere, and that's okay too. All right. And those of you that really love the premieres, because I get emails, I get notes all the time from folks just saying they love the channel, they love the premieres, but a lot of them never go to the step of liking it. Take time to like this premiere and really give me an impression that you were really impressed with Jill's 523 with Sophia, and really make your voice be heard. All right, blah, 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 blah. So let me do this. Let me come off the tripod and let's go in and take a closer look at these sew-offs that we just did, okay? Kind of zoom back out again. All right, and these are in not necessarily a specific order, I don't think. And I'm going to move my my lights in so we got some real good light. So let's take a look first of all at this genuine elk hide. Again, you look at the side, you're probably talking about 12 to 14 ounces of this genuine elk hide. And we did our 3-point kind of a stretch stitch on it. And I'm just absolutely in love with that stitch. I think that is absolutely phenomenal. And you can look at that stitch definition, that stitch formation, the consistency of that stitch. Again, with a needle swing like this, a fairly complex stitch pattern going through about 14 ounces of genuine elk hide and laying down a stitch that is absolutely picture perfect. We turn it over and we look at that lock stitch. There's just no difference. Wait, I'm on the wrong material. There was a difference there for a second because I was over there on the cotton polyester blend. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous on this as well, with this lock stitch on the back. Again, when you do sew-offs, there might be a little bit, if I were sewing elk hide all day long, I might make some fine-tuning adjustments. But that lock stitch is exactly as it should be. Beautiful stitching. So now we are going to go over to this other material that I was going to show you, and that is our cotton polyester blend. Again, we went through 8 layers of this stuff. Oops, wrong way. We went through 8 layers of this stuff. came in a little bit too close there, I think. Having trouble getting the lighting right on this. Bear with me for a second here. Maybe I'll come all the way out and then just kind of get real close to it. I'll be really bummed if you can't see these stitches, because they are absolutely drop dead gorgeous. There we go. That's a little bit better. So we did a straight stitch, and we did that 3-point stretch stitch as well through these 8 layers of cotton polyester. And Jill's 523 just did a phenomenal job all the way across. Again, this white on this, I'll call it kind of a peach color. It's a little bit more of a challenge to see, but I think you can see it now that we're this close. I mean, I'm probably like a half an inch away from it. And as we flip it over, look at again the thickness of that. 8 layers of this stuff. I'm going to flip it over and we'll look at that lock stitch now. There we go. And if you're saying, I wish that my machine would lay stitches down like that, then package up your machine and send it to the workshop. And you'll be able to have your machine premiered like Jill's and be able to show off drop dead gorgeous stitches like this, whether it's a cotton polyester blend or whatever kind of material I choose to put underneath that presser foot. Your machine is going to be able to really show its stuff. Beautiful stitching, absolutely beautiful. I'll probably do more of this cotton polyester stuff. I like it a lot. Okay, now we've got, and I bumped these things all over the place when I was off camera there. Now we've got our genuine cowhide. And again, this stuff was kind of puckery. The stitching is beautiful. I think you'd agree. Those stitches are absolutely drop dead gorgeous. But again, when leather gets puckery, and you're talking 3 layers of this stuff, if it doesn't feed over those feed dogs just like it should, you'll get a perfect stitch, but it's going to vary as far as its stitch formation and its size. And that's simply a product of how that material is moving over those feed dogs. But I'm really pleased with what Jill's 523 did with these 3 layers of genuine cowhide. And if we turn it over, there's no difference. Absolutely gorgeous stitching on that lock stitch as well. Again, we're talking 3 layers of genuine cowhide, folks. 3 layers. There you can see that little spot there where I brought the presser foot up and I didn't have the needle down. You see that on the far upper right there, where that stitch is a little bit wonky. That's me. That's my fault. So those are stitches that are absolutely gorgeous. Really, really pleased with that genuine cowhide. Again, look at it from the side, folks. That's what Jill's machine just did, and it was like a done. No big deal. And then we got this saddle grade leather over here. I'm actually going to pick this up because I had some success picking stuff up with Saheeds, and I think I'm going to do more of that now. So here's our saddle grade leather. Again, this stuff is just absolutely the thick of thick when it comes to piercing threshold and just challenging any machine. And that stitch from start to finish is absolutely textbook perfect stitch. Absolutely gorgeous in every respect. And again, look at it from the side. See if I can do it like this. Not to mention that's kind of cool looking down the stitches like that, isn't it? That's the thick of thick, folks, right there. That is the thick of thick. Then we turn it over and look at that lock stitch. Spacing, formation. Even through that nap you can see it. Integrity of the stitch. It just doesn't get any better than that. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous stitching. Once I get the camera straight, it is. So I just think, again, Jill's 523 home run on this saddle grade leather as well, which again is one of the toughest leathers that you can possibly put a machine to the test with. So I'm really pleased with that one as well. Then we had this compressed felt material, which I really haven't shown on this channel before. And we did that 3-point stretch stitch all the way across. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit on this. I'm trying to hold it and balance it at the same time. There we go. This may actually be one that you can see better if I hold it on this angle here. So this is the 3 layers of the compressed felt. Look at those stitches all the way across. All the way up. All the way over. It does not get any better than that. It just doesn't, folks. Look at that, even from a distance. Look at from the side again, 3 layers of compressed felt. As we turn it over, there's no difference. That lock stitch is also absolutely spot on. Look at that, all the way across. All the way up. All the way over. Absolutely gorgeous stitching. Joe, you got a, I'm going to say it again, you got a peach of a machine here now, kiddo. Amazing stitching. Again, that's 3 layers of compressed felt. Don't be fooled, folks. That stuff is not an easy task to get done. Now we're going to go to our U.S. Army grade canvas where we did probably about 10 layers. Look at that. I mean, it's like Chicago phone book. Nuts, right? And yet we laid down a stitch that is absolutely brag-worthy all the way across. All the way across the bottom. Gorgeous stitching. I can't get over that. Holy mackerel. And then we got our lock stitch. Excuse me. I can't cough when I'm holding this camera, otherwise you're going to be like, why is it all blurry? Look at that lock stitch. I would say we're almost a little bit over popping on the lock stitch. I probably would end up increasing, excuse me, I would probably end up decreasing that upper tension just slightly to make that top stitch as well defined as this lock stitch. See, if I look at this and I turn it, that's a real good looking stitch, but it doesn't quite have, well, I guess it does, but it's not as poppy. That's fun to say, isn't it? It's not as poppy as that that lock stitch. So again, if your lock stitch is just real poppy and your top stitch isn't quite as poppy, then go ahead and just decrease that upper tension slightly and you'll bring it back into a perfect balance again. And then finally we've got our nylon webbing, which I'm going to do my best to show you, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. We're going to try to really get in close on that. Bear with me here. I'm going to try to zoom in on that a little bit. Bear with me. Yeah, you can see the outline of it, but it is tough to see. That's kind of irritating, but that's my fault. White thread on yellow. What are you going to do? You can kind of see it there. If I move it really slow. Yeah, it's a beautiful stitch, but it sure is a tough deal to see with that material. Yeah, there you can see it. Kind of heading down now. And coming back around. Yeah, so white on yellow. Not a winning scenario, but I sure like the way that white presents on a lot of the other materials that were chosen. So I'm going to move these materials to the side, just kind of stack them up. That is a stack of sew-offs right there. And I'm going to zoom out. And just again let you take a look at Jill's machine. You remember how it looked, right? The way that base was. Remember all that rust along this edge over here? What do you think? Just a little bit of a difference, huh? Just a little bit of a difference. Try to come around the back as well before my camera runs out of battery life here. And I didn't mention it, this is a belt-driven machine, but like the Husqvarna's, they got that belt kind of housed in there, and you don't see it. I think you could see it on some of the Facebook shots. But this is a peach of a machine now. Jill, I really appreciate the opportunity of being able to take Sophia back to a point where, I mean, she's really a showpiece now. She really is. She's just a beautiful girl, and you're going to have a lot of fun doing sew-offs like these, or certainly others, and just enjoying this incredible NECCHI 523. Or again, if I want to put like my nails down a chalkboard, this NECCHI 523, to upset some of my Italian friends that send me nasty notes about how I pronounce things. But this has been a fun project. It's been a comprehensive project, and really pleased to get to the finish line now. Not just with a machine that is drop dead gorgeous, but now a machine that you can put pretty much anything you want underneath that presser foot, and just consider the job done. But again, choose your thread carefully. If you're going to do nylon webbing, choose a darker thread. All right. God bless, folks, and stay tuned for other great premieres like this, where you see a machine that really started kind of looking like it was hopeless, and we give it a brand new beginning. How cool is that?